Hello and welcome to Liberty Nation TV with your host, Jeff Charles. Gas prices are out of control and Americans are feeling the pain at the pump. The situation in Ukraine continues to rage on as Russia tries to topple Ukraine's government. Many have connected the crazy gas prices to the conflict between the two nations, but is there more at play here? I have with me Liberty Nation's economics correspondent, Andrew Moran, to discuss the issue. Well, welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Now, before we get into it, can you give us a brief overview of what's been happening with gas prices and also with oil prices? Because apparently I don't know the difference.
Well, oil, you drill for the oil, and then with the oil you refine it and you make gasoline. But when it comes to the prices, gasoline, this is astounding to watch unfold. The national average is $4.32 a gallon. In California, some parts you're seeing as high as $7 a gallon. So this is just remarkable to watch. And of course, not remarkable for your wallet, but if you're someone who just scans the markets and sees this environment occurring, you're baffled by it because you haven't seen this type of gas prices since the 1970s. Even during the Bush's era, when you had a barrel of oil at 125, gas prices are still around $3. And then last year under Biden, you still also had $3. So just this dramatic push is you're speechless because your wallet's hurting so much, and this is all going to resort in higher prices for everything else.
You make a great point there because people don't really understand how these oil prices and gas prices affect other industries. It's not just going to hit people at the pump. It's going to hit them in any industry where they have to buy something that has to be transported on a truck, which is pretty much everything. But here's the question I think everybody wants an answer to, because there's a lot of confusion over this. How much does the situation with Russia and Ukraine influence the price of gas in America and also in the West?
Oh, it does have a huge contributing factor. It's just that, the problem is that President Biden is trying to think that gas prices were high under his watch before the invasion. So I think that two things can be true at the same time. Higher gas prices are happening because of Russia. Higher gas prices are also happening because of the administration's policies. So when it comes to Russia, Russia after that oil embargo announced by President Biden last week, you saw that easing in oil prices because it was more of a case of buy the rumor and sell the news. Russia is a huge exporter of oil. So it's the world's largest exporter and the world's third largest producer. And when it comes to Ukraine is an important transit route for Russia because it also has about between 1/5 and 1/3 of the capacity to ship oil and gas to Europe. The gas prices are higher right now in Europe, also more than the United States because how much Europe depends on Russia. In Europe, it's about 40% of the region depends on oil, and 30% depends on natural gas from Russia. So Russia is playing a huge role in the global energy markets. But now, if you go beyond Russia, there's so many other factors contributing to the rise and fall of energy prices.
Yeah, and you mentioned Biden's policies. One of the mistakes that I've pointed out that others have aren't so much what he's doing now, it's what he didn't do before. He has gotten us more reliant on other countries for gas. He didn't want to drill here, and I'll ask about that in a second. But it just seems like Europe is mainlining Russian oil, like they're addicted to it, and we could have been the solution to that problem. And hopefully going forward, we will be, especially if we get another president in office. But that's kind of an ongoing thing. But oil prices.
If I may interrupt about Europe, is that Russia, the United States is now banning Russian imports for the most part, but Europe is only going to start trimming about 2/3 of its dependency on Russia by the end of the year. So over the next several months, they're still importing huge amounts of oil from Russia. And you see this in the data too, because Russia has been actually increasing production of oil and gas despite the world, sanctioning Russia. So I think that's also a critical part on the energy markets front.
Yeah, it's crazy. It also means that Europe can't really do much to put Russia in check when they do go overboard. And we could have been that provider. It's better for them to be hooked on our oil than on Russian oil, right? Mm-hmm. But oil prices, they took a pretty drastic drop over the last couple days. Why is that? What happened there?
Okay, so if you have an hour, I'm going to go into everything because there's so many reasons.
Let's do it.
What's great too, if you read the business news headlines, a lot of the analysts aren't sure of what's happening. But I think that there's a multitude of fronts about this. So I think the number one thing is that the market already priced in all the bad news that happened. They priced in the Russian oil embargo. They priced in the escalation of military conflict. They priced in the sanctions. So all of that is now out of the way. So now they're selling and trimming and taking their profits. So I think that's because markets are always front running. They're always trying to front run of what's happening in the world. That's why I said earlier, you buy the rumor and sell the news. You bought all the rumors that this was happening, and then once it was officially announced, like the oil embargo, you sell, take your profits. But there are other geopolitical issues too. So, for example, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, he's going to be talking to Saudi Arabia and other OPEC titans, talk about turning on the taps, and this is giving some optimism that the world that's starved for oil, these countries could start producing oil more, because the current OPEC pact is around 400,000 barrels per day, and the rest of the world wants to increase that. Whether that happens or not, I don't think so, because oil, you see how oil prices are crashing. When the market was as tight as it was and prices were hitting 120 because of the tightness, these countries benefit more from that than turning on the taps even more. Other issue, there's a lot of speculation that Venezuela is going to start pumping on more oil. The sanctions going to be removed. You saw how they released 2 American prisoners. So there's some speculation that President Biden is going to try to lift sanctions, and therefore Caracas could be, flooding the market with oil. That Iran deal, that's also a lot of speculation going on there. If they reach a new nuclear agreement, Iran could be flooding the market with about, as much as 80 million barrels, because they've been out of for most of the market for the last several years because of the sanctions. So a lot of it right now is geopolitical, but also supply and demand is another massive factor. The United States consumes about 18 million barrels per day. They consume about 9 million barrels of gasoline a day, and the supply is not just going up; it's not matching the level of demand, and that's supply and demand. Although it's a huge issue, it's not as much as everyone focusing on geopolitics of it.
I see. So here's the question that everybody is going to want to know now. Are the prices going to stay lower? And more importantly, are our gas prices at the pump going to be lower as a result?
Well, the problem with gas prices, it's quite sticky in the sense that it's easy for prices to go up, but it's not as easy for prices to come down because of the how volatile markets can be. So you're still going to see that dramatic bump of say 30 cents in a week to go up, but you're not going to see that same level of prices going down. So you're still going to have above $4 national average. So unfortunately, there's not going to be much relief at the pump. And even if there is relief at the pump, that's going to be offset by the massive gains or massive price increases when it comes to the food on your table.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll end on that positive note.
I wouldn't say awesome. I would say
yeah. So, hopefully you are wrong, my friend.
Yeah, me too. I have kids, I got to feed them, and the prices we're paying are skyrocketing. So yeah, I hope I'm wrong, but that's why you hedge your bets. So that's why you buy oil and gas stocks, but you also buy or you short the actually energy contract. So for example, you can buy an oil and gas company, but then you can start buying, an ETF that bets against the oil market.
Gotcha. And a little bit of stock advice for you there, folks. Thanks for joining me, Andrew. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And remember, this show is proudly sponsored by LibertyNation.com, where you can access podcasts, breaking news and analysis, and a range of biting and brilliant shows to whet your appetite for freedom and your fondness for the great American Constitution. Just go to LibertyNation.com on your browser, or hit Rumble, YouTube, or check out our Liberty Nation News Roku channel. I'm Jeff Charles. Thanks for watching. This program is a production of LibertyNation.com, where truth is making a comeback.
We're doing it for real, really real. Liberty Nation.
And Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.
I think we're starting to make an impact. Liberty style, fighting for freedom.
The tracking poll sponsored by Liberty Nation for Thursday.
Mentioned by Dan Bongino, Rasmussen, Jordan Peterson, and
I
others.
can do it again if you want me to.
Cited in Mark Levin's American Marxism.
I think we're starting to make a really big impact. Get noticed. We're doing it. Rock on. I'm gone.